get motherfucking right. We must
Alright, tell me.
get motherfucking right. Get motherfucking right.
Day 60 of the podcast. So what we're going to be going over tonight is just what we kind of plan for each of us to do for the 60 days, what we hope to accomplish, some of the things we set out to do as a group, and also some of our individual goals that we have throughout this process. As we had mentioned earlier, the 60-day get right that we're kind of doing right now is just a time for us to better ourselves and trying to get the things that we talk about doing, in life, getting them done, and putting a very big emphasis and focus on those during those 60 days. But yeah, that's a little synopsis or a little summary of the get right for those that missed the first episode. Eli, you want to add anything on that part?
No, not really. We just, gonna give a breakdown, give a little bit of what we're doing, our specific goals and how we're planning to achieve them, and then we'll update y'all later on down the road and see how things are going and stuff, and we'll make sure to keep everyone updated.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we'll go ahead and get started here. I'll go ahead and go with one of mine first. And I think Eli, you have the same first one as well, which would be getting in shape. I know that at least for me personally, I've always, even though I've been somewhat active, and I know Eli's been pretty active in life as well, at least for me, I haven't had the best diet while being active. So I've always kind of, even though I'm not quite necessarily a small person in size, I'm definitely not like Chris Hemsworth. So I'm not like Chris Hemsworth in size. So if that gives you any idea, I'd say I'm probably closer to um, maybe what's his name from Spider-Man? Not Tom Holland, but Andrew Garfield.
Oh,
Like maybe like Andrew Garfield body type, which is like he's a little bit maybe.
without any cut.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that part was implied by me saying I need to get in shape. But yeah, yeah. So getting in shape would be something that I'd be interested in doing, and I guess a few ways I'd focus on that are like my three main ways I'm going to be kind of monitoring that and keeping progress of that would be. The first one would be I'm going to try and consume at least 64 ounces of water a day, but hopefully a full gallon. The second thing I'll be doing is I'll be monitoring the my exercise to make sure not only am I doing it regularly, but also keeping track of the workouts I do, and as well as the amount of weight and whatnot I'm lifting. So as I go through this process, I'll keep everyone updated on that, and I'm sure Eli will do the same. And then the last thing in that subject of getting in shape, or in that I guess regard, would be going through and actually eating right. So even as I mentioned earlier, I'd just not had the best diet, I guess, even though I've been pretty active most of my life. And so yeah, this time I'm actually gonna try and get some harmony between all those areas, which would be consistently working out, consistently drinking enough water, and then consistently eating right. So I think if I can get at least somewhat a grasp on those three areas, even if maybe not a full grasp, but somewhat of a grasp, I think I'll be a lot better in 60 days. But like I said, as we go through the process, I'll keep everyone updated on that, and I'm sure as will Eli. But Eli, yeah, what's yours? What are your thoughts on getting in shape?
Yeah, so for me, like I say, I've been active my whole life. For most of my life, I was very active. Worked out a lot. Also played a lot of sports and did. Uh, I worked out a lot, played a lot of sports. But the biggest thing was I never put the diet together, so I was never able to gain weight or gain size. So I was just tired of being skinny. I always said I was gonna gain some weight, put on some muscle. Never really focusing and put the effort in, match the diet to the exercise. So for me, it's about consistent exercise, but more importantly, the thing that I have never done, which is trying to actually put in a real diet into work and making sure that I'm eating enough each time so I can actually see results. And my goal in working out is to reach 170. Now I don't know if I'm gonna do that in these next 60 days, but
What are you at now?
right now I'm at about 150.
Okay.
So I know I should be able to hit about 160 fairly quickly if I'm eating and working out. If I'm eating right, working out, I'll hit 160 pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But 170 is like a plateau. So the most I've ever weighed, and I was clothes and everything, was like 165. So in shorts and a t-shirt, I'm probably like 160s, maybe the most. So I definitely want to hit about 170. See if that what that looks like. That's a noticeable difference. Also, the also with the eating, just a side note, I like how it helps with your spending and your budgeting too. So that way you know exactly what you need to eat and what you need to spend each week. So I think that'll be a cool part. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing for me on that, to make myself the total package. It's not just about making money. It's not just about you also want to be in shape and look the best version of yourself. You want to not be rich necessarily, but just have some type
Be
of steady and
comfortable.
stable and comfortable, and
Yeah. Or you don't have to
also
worry about, like where, your paychecks, if they aren't coming in, like, or like if they're not coming
exactly.
in, where you're having to live paycheck to paycheck, where you
Or
can just be
like,
comfortable.
when if you do find something to invest in, or you do see something that you want to put a good amount of money on, to have
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying? Or to be able to get it, in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
So
And I
that's
know
a
that,
big thing.
at least for me personally, I guess on the financial side, something I saw or someone had suggested was that you should have enough money in your savings or any like a separate like emergency account where if you lost your job, you could sustain yourself for a full year without having another job. And
Yeah,
I
I've
was like,
heard
oh,
of that. I
that's
think
like,
the
yeah,
minimum they say is like 6 months, but a year is like more ideal. I think the
yeah.
minimum you should
I've
get
heard
to is
six
like six
months and I've
months.
heard a year, and like either way, I'm like, wow, that must be nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be, I guess, something that I'd be interested in too. Is I guess on the finance side. But I was going to add one more thing about the working out, and then I guess like eating right. Something that Eli and I had talked about before this was that it's like I know that one thing we're trying to do better is scheduling, and so during this like get right, like we have like an idea of kind of what we want to get done each day and what we're trying to get done through the total period of time. But it becomes a thing of planning and making sure that you're actually following through with all the stuff that you set out to do. So in this case, what I was talking to Eli about earlier is that we have a calendar right now with all our activities or like things that we're trying to do from a day-to-day basis. But what I was telling him is that we should put on there as well when you're going to eat, or like when we're supposed to be, like like, oh, at this time, with this at this time you eat, or like at this hour, like have a
Like
something.
in this time, because it's in time blocks. It's like in this time block, there should be which meal you're eating in that time block. Right.
Exactly.
So just you can pick your time in it, but we're usually in about what 2 hour time blocks,
Yeah.
basically divided into. So during that, we have lunch, we have dinner, we have breakfast.
Yeah.
We need to make sure we're taking those, and we have the snacks, and we have the meals already set up. So one, we're not wasting a lot of time trying to cook and figure out, man, what am I gonna eat, and all that other
Exactly.
stuff. And then two, we're getting the right amounts of protein,
Your
carbs, and all
macros.
that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
that's big too. Yeah, definitely. And I was just gonna add that, but then, yeah, other than yeah, just eating right or eating more consistently, yeah, I think that yeah, just trying to make sure that yeah, hitting all those macros is key. So it's like yeah, it's like you want to eat healthy and eat what you're supposed to eat, but you also have to be eating a lot just to in order to really I feel like achieve not a lot, but still, it's like you're gonna be wanting to eat more than you naturally would
Yeah,
because it's like, or else you would just stay somewhat roughly the same size.
yeah, and it's also because like even though you like even though you're it's not that you have to even if you're working out, you want to see progress, right? And if you aren't eating at a certain type of like healthiness and eating at least getting enough calories to start seeing the results of your workout, you'll get you can get drained or like fatigued,
Yeah,
you know
you
what I
feel
mean,
like
because you keep doing the
lethargic.
same thing over and over again and you're not seeing results. But the key to the results is to make sure that you eat. So we want to get that in the beginning so we can see results, or at least we know, okay, I'm getting everything in right. The results are going to keep coming. They're going to even if they slow down or whatever it is, it's
Exactly.
frustrating. It would be more frustrating not to get any results. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah. And that's yeah, I think that just having the balance between all three, at least in the aspect of working out, eating healthy, staying on top of that, but also like yeah, I really do think drinking enough water is important too, just because I don't think a lot of people, myself included, um, drink like enough water. I think that even a half gallon a day is like on the low end,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of people drink like maybe a cup of water a day, so like 8 ounces out of 64 ounces, which would be a half gallon, so like an eighth of what you're supposed to consume. But I don't
Yeah.
know. It's
Yeah. I think
interesting.
it's based on your body weight and some other stuff. I'm not even sure what it
Yeah.
is.
But yeah, other than that, I'd say I guess the second initiative, at least for me, or the second thing I want to try and do better or focus on would be it ties into this right here with the podcast and with, I guess, YouTube and just um, not necessarily content, but like media or I guess information. At least to me, I would like to try and start putting out like my thoughts and opinions on things as I see it in this world we have or the world we're living in currently. And so I think that situations where I can just try and be putting up and like holding myself accountable, um, where it's like, I can be like, yeah, I need to every day do this. Because when you're doing these projects like a project like this, where it's a creative endeavor and it's something you're doing outside of what you normally would be doing, so it's almost like an extra project. It's like, yeah, when you have stuff like that, there's no deadlines on these things. And so it's like almost years can go by. And so Eli and I, even though you all are listening to what would be the first official episode, we've been talking about this for years. And so it's like it takes a minute to sometimes like actually sit down and unless you have deadlines, which in this case I'm trying to focus that more on, between YouTube and podcasts, is unless you have these deadlines, something that has no deadline can just be put on the back burner and can just kind of float.
Because life is chaotic, and it's hard to implement. Life can be chaotic. It's hard to implement, you know, certain things into your life, especially when you're trying to work and do so many other things at the same time and stuff. So we decided to kind of work together, help each other out, take this time to really get
Get,
things set,
get right.
get right,
Yeah, yeah. It is a good time to get
get
right.
right.
Well, yeah. And I
But help
personally,
each other build good habits and stuff, so we don't have to try and build them, you know, during the chaos, during the next level of life.
yeah, and I think that at least for me personally, I know that it seems as if things at times just keeps going by faster and faster. I know it probably doesn't seem that way for everybody, but yeah, at least with stuff like this, where we're both coming up on our at least for we're both coming up to the next chapter in our lives age wise, and yeah, we're at this point where we're both kind of like, well, dang, maybe we should try and do something. So that's kind of at least where this whole the get right, like we want to keep this podcast going, where it's just going to be like a lifestyle podcast, but the idea being that this get right is something that we ourselves did, or it's like a lifestyle we ourselves have lived and continue to live, and it's yeah, I think it's important. So yeah, in this case, the 60-day get right is just where we're relatively starting out with no company, no anything, just an idea and so, the willpower hopefully to execute on this idea or on these ideas. So that's the hopeful or the optimist in us speaking. But regardless, we'll see how it all pans out, and we plan on keeping everyone updated along the way, just so you all can see not only from you know our own experience how what worked and what didn't work, but also so we can learn from our own experience, Eli and myself. And so yeah, it's gonna be quite a process, and it will have a lot going on. But I think at the end of the 60 days, we'll be glad we did it, and then when we look back, we'll be happy with the results we ended up getting, whatever they may be.
For sure.
Yeah, and then so yeah, and then yeah, so for the third thing for me, um, would just be so yeah, the first one getting in shape, and then Eli as well, and the second one, yeah, for myself would have been YouTube and podcast, and Eli is the second one. If that the same as you, yeah, uh,
Second one.
yeah. What's the second one? I was asking if the second one was the same one for you. Is the YouTube podcast for me?
Yeah, the second one for me is the podcast, but it's more so building my portfolio. So for me, the second one, I do film also. I'm more into like film and photography. So I'm taking this to really update and build my portfolio, to build the podcast, to shoot videos, to edit, And so by kind of putting that together, having a better portfolio, a site, and something together till we can start and move forward, because I really want to take this to the next level of having a production company and my own business. And so the first step is building something, having products, making sure I get into the habits of writing and the habits of practicing, and everything that's required for a film, all the stuff that I used to do. And again, it's like we all talk about, you get distracted with life and you start, your priorities start to change up. So for me, it's definitely the podcast and just getting myself back into media and talking, and you know, uh, building something special. Really doing this, seeing if we can get it, seeing if we like it, seeing if this is what we really um uh want to get into, and seeing what I can make and what we can make. And then, like I say, hopefully this portfolio, the a nice reel, and more to work with as we keep on moving on after the get right,
Yeah.
after the initial start of the get right, because life is getting
Yeah.
right.
And I guess, yeah, what would you say? Because I guess I didn't mention it in this section, but in the first section we had been pretty thorough with it. But what would you say would be some of the criteria or some of the things that you would say? Like, I know for me, I guess with a YouTube podcast, like podcast, if I could do some sort of daily upload, I don't know quite the length that we would be doing, but somewhere maybe 30 minutes to an hour on daily uploads. If I could do that every day for 60 days, I would say that would be a success. If I could do it, half the time, it's okay. Much less, it's questionable or debatable. But then it's like with YouTube, it's like, yeah, if I can upload one good video a week, then I consider that a success. Where it's like one good video that's edited, chopped, and honestly, I would like to do a lot more than even one video. I would like to almost do maybe a video a day as well, because with the elections coming up that we're going to be covering, and as you'll hear about and see from our other social media channels, it's just going to be a busy time, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So I think that, yeah, at least for me, the podcast and the YouTube channel, just trying to at least get daily uploads on the podcast to some degree, and then weekly podcast at least, or uploads to the YouTube channel at least. Yeah.
For me, I would say it's more important to get weekly uploads, either podcasts or videos. So for YouTube, I would kind of like both. So I would like weekly weekly uploads of the podcast and weekly uploads of videos. I want to make sure that we're working on them every day. That's important to me. So making something, shooting something every day. But if it means I have to shoot for 5 hours in one day, and then edit for another 5 hours the next day, so I'm only putting out 2 or 3 videos in a week. As long as I'm keeping up where there's consistently a couple of them posted each week. You know what I mean? That, to me, that's the main thing, is consistency. Consistency over frequency. Consistency over frequency.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. Like, in the beginning, is to make sure that it's at least a steady thing where people can see it regularly.
Yeah, quality over quantity.
Yeah, quality over quantity. Like, it doesn't have to be, like I'm saying, I don't have to be on it all day, every day, posting all the time. But I want something very consistent and steady.
Yeah, what would you say?
And I think it works well. And I think if I could say like three videos a week, or I'll start with 2 videos a week, because I got to work on the skills a little bit, sharpen them up. So 2 videos a week for the beginning. And I think that also, because I think that's very sustainable too. You know what I mean? As you branch out and do more and take on more responsibilities, you can still sustain that. Okay, make sure I get my, shoot, edit, post, shoot, edit, post. You know what I mean? That covers your week. And then you podcast at the end. So that's more so what I want. That's crucial. I think some type of I still think, obviously, you still put in work every day. We still record something. We still, maybe we edit for the day because we just have a whole bunch of editing to do, or something. But definitely at least 2 videos a week, and at least maybe like 2 podcasts a week, something like that. That's actually uploaded fully,
Yeah.
clean.
And I wouldn't. And honestly, yeah, I guess for me.
And also, but of course, we're also going to be So when I say a goal, like, that's like actual things that we're making, but we're going to journal. At the very least, we're going to update every day, because we want to keep a journal of what we're doing. So that I don't really necessarily consider that in the exact same category. You know what I mean? But yeah, of course we're gonna journal it every single day, but more formally podcast and shoot. That's how often I would.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I feel the same way. I think that, and it's kind of tough because I guess at least, yeah, because I mean, I agree with the whole journaling every day aspect. Like, I journal every day as far as just like kind of like as like a meditative thing, but it's also just like a peace of mind thing as far as it's nice to know what you did on certain days if you really want to recall. But yeah, I think that yes, regardless, journaling is very important, and I think that the whole thing, it's like I guess in my mind I don't have like a certain number of like this many podcasts needs to happen or um this many videos need to upload. The only reason I thought of like that exact number of podcasts was because of the 60 days. I was like, okay, well, how much, if we had 60 days, how many hours are in a day? Okay, 24. Okay, 6 hours of sleep at least. Okay, and like I basically started boiling it down each way, and the reason I did that is because I wanted to see how much time I could dedicate each day to it, where I would feel like I'm dedicating something. It's almost like working out. Like each day I'm trying to work out, or at least 6 days a week, and I'm putting aside an hour for that. And I think that at least with the podcast, it's like putting aside an hour for that. It's not. I guess what I'm trying to say is like I didn't necessarily think like, oh, I have 60 days, so I need 60 podcasts. I'm like, well, what could I honestly put out that would make me feel like um, I'm using my
Like,
time
you're using your
efficiently?
time and working it. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
because it's like if we just put out 2 videos and the videos only took 2 hours to make, and we
yeah, then
basically allotted 40 hours for it, and we're like patting ourselves on the back like we feel good about
exactly.
it.
Yeah,
It's like, well, we're just bullshitting ourselves. Excuse my language, but yeah, we're just kidding ourselves at that point where it's like, is it really that is it's like almost like, yeah, I've gotten to this point now in my life where I'm sure Eli feels somewhat similar, or I'm sure some of you all have felt this way to some degree or another. But it's almost like when you start kind of bullshitting something, or excuse me again, but when you start kind of like exaggerating something you don't necessarily know to be the truth, at least for me nowadays, I feel like I start to feel bad. I feel bad, like I'm just not only being dishonest, but I'm like, I'm just being deceptive. It's like I guess I just feel like I'm I'm like people probably see through this. It's like I just don't like it. And so nowadays it's like I would rather live with the guilt or the shame of just owning up to a lackluster job rather than like trying to go and sell something that, or not sell something, but like, go and like promote or go out and like distribute or go out and, I guess like be like, look how good I am, guys, at this random thing. And then everyone be like, oh yeah, sure. But then it's like I know deep down I feel like a fraud. But if I try my hardest and I, give it my all, then I'll, success will always be the outcome.
yeah, yeah. And that's it. I definitely, like I said, I think it's the same page. And if y'all wondering, this is something we were kind of trying to figure out for a while and kind of going back and forth to figure out. But it's like we both want to work. We both are going to work on it every day. And it was just, and what we kind of realized too that we were both saying is it's not so much about that we have to get a full, podcast every day, full blown and stuff. It's about the work that we make sure we get. So we actually work on this and put an actual focus effort into. So if we don't have a great idea, did we actually make an idea for the next so that we'll be ready to shoot it? You know what I mean? Did we actually sit down and write out and make a script for it and make a shot line for it or make the idea for the next one in that day? Because then if we don't, then either we need to shoot something or something needs to happen. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, or it's like we feel like we're not wasting our time or just like, kind of past squandering time.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's it. To me, I feel the same way where it's like back in the day I used to be like, oh well, I can just allot a huge amount of time to something that only takes a very short amount of time, and I'd feel good about myself because I'm like, I'll finish early. But then nowadays I'm like, well, no, I need to be honest with myself because it's like if I'm finishing early, I should just put down that I need less time to do it so I can just be more efficient or effective in my life. And I think that's, kind of what the Get Right's about is like, how can we be more efficient or more effective? And
exactly.
yeah, it's nice to have someone at least with Eli being in this situation similar to me.
I think
It's
it's
like
because
nice.
most people don't reach their goals because they never fully and truly and honestly put in 100% effort. Like they say, most people that we always say, oh, there's people who really tried and failed. I don't believe that. I don't believe that there's anyone who truly put 100,000% into something and really like with the wisdom, with the open mind, kept it going. Like
Exactly,
who
yeah.
failed? I just don't.
Yeah, no, and I agree. That's what I was saying. Where it's
Or
like
who've
if you,
never succeeded
if
unless they gave up.
yeah, it's like if you try your hardest and like it's like yeah, it's like I mean that I say like success would be like the only outcome. And yeah, I think that we as people, we almost like we are like our own biggest enemy. Where it's like I was telling Eli before this as well, where it's like I've started a podcast a bunch of times with various friends. One that comes out to mind, and then it's like Eli and I have spoke about it a lot as well. But it's like, yeah, I've kind of like started a podcast a bunch of times over the years, and it's never actually really made it to fruition. And now it's like I wouldn't call those failures, but I just like I learned little things about myself, and maybe one day those podcasts will make their way to the internet, and they can be listened to then. But at least now, I feel like it's again, this is me. Hopefully, not fail. Like I can't fail. Failure is not an option this time. Not that there's other times where failures, but those podcasts aren't here. This podcast is here, so they get right. The only way you can get right is to do just that, get right. Yeah, and so for me, the third thing would be, and this all kind of ties in together, would be finances. So for finances, I would just like to have more money saved. I would like to pay off a little bit of credit card debt, and so what I'm going to do to kind of, I guess, manage my money better, or to kind of, I guess, yeah, kind of relieve myself of some debt, and kind of practice better money management skills moving forward. I've already set up a budget, which I think is like roughly 4 or 5, I think 5 categories. But fortunate for me right now, I don't have any major obligations as far as children or a wife or I guess a family. So yeah, 5 little categories where it's about 20% for each category. 20 going to debt, 20 going to savings, 20 going to expenditures, and which could also be going into the business. Basically, it's like what I don't have on my budget, and something I'm not going to be doing to save money is going to be drinking alcohol and going out. So for the 60 days, I'm day one being right now. Yeah, I'm not going to drink until election night, which will be like day 66 or 65. But yeah, that's just me personally, and that I know will save me a bunch of money. Same with other expenditures that are, less than, I guess I should say healthy for you. But yeah, and then I just think, yeah, on a day-to-day basis, not spending money on little frivolous stuff like earlier, or it was yesterday actually. We were in Walmart and I saw a tech deck, and I thought about buying it, even though I don't need the tech deck. Like a little kid was showing me one the other day, and and this tech deck in Walmart was one I did like it was a deck I liked. But that's neither here nor there. I didn't buy it. That's success. So, well, yeah. And what was your third one? The same thing.
Financial for me is twofold. One part of it is just
Making a certain amount weekly. So I've made this amount, but just consistently make every week needs to be well, I'm not gonna give numbers, but this is how much I'm trying
I stayed away from numbers
yeah,
too.
but I'm staying out of numbers, but every week I need to make a certain amount, and that's just that's
Yeah,
something that I
what
can
about
do.
ranges for like
I
your
can
budget?
that's
Like
just
a couple categories. You don't have to get
oh
the
yeah,
names of
yeah. I'm not going
categories.
into detail, but I'm saying it, and that can be done not just through business and all this fancy stuff. Some of that can be done by just labor, just putting in that much time.
Yeah.
So that's just part of it is like getting back to the grassroots of because I think sometimes we get so caught up in the business and trying to make something happen and make something go, which I'm 100% for and I'm 100% about. But I think we lose the concept of just working hard,
Yeah.
putting in a lot of time to get you some money and take
Yeah.
care of those hours and make using as much of your time for working also to make. So I think that's important. The other thing is definitely spending. So no drinking for me at all. No smoking. We stay away from any type of fun party times and stuff. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you
gotta
mean.
stay.
I don't know
He
what
don't
you
know
mean.
exactly. He
I don't know
what
what
I
you
mean.
mean.
Nobody knows what I mean.
Nobody
But
knows.
anyway,
Everybody's like,
we
what?
all
What you mean?
we are. You know,
Yeah.
I'm keeping my money away from all that. We're just gonna spend on food. Maybe a few. Um. I may see also do get some clothes and budget and some other things like that, but that's more for parents. That's just one of the later on goals that we'll talk about. But really just doing that and then saving up for um a newer car. So that's something that I want to get. Uh and then the key thing is budgeting. So there's certain things that I have I went to college, so I obviously have student loans. There's other things that just need to be paid and paid off. So I want to kind of clear that, um, which improves my credit where I want it, and then from there I'll be able to make a lot of steps. So
Yeah.
so right now it's rewriting another budget. I have to do a whole new budget again. For now that I'm here right now. But I know what my expenses are, so I just need to see how much I'm making and then how much and then just start knocking off debt certain debts or things that need to be paid off step by step and getting my credit back up to what I needed to. So
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And that's something you mentioned too that I didn't think about until you had said it was like the jobs like versus using, I guess, money or money generated from a business. And yeah, it's something to consider too whenever you're trying to start a job or start a business. Is that yeah, it's nice if you can get the money from the business to put back into the business, but a lot of times like the money you'd be making from the business is so minuscule in comparison to what you could be making in your previous field, where it's like if you can really juggle it and manage and be proactive and productive, what you could do is take the money that you're making from the job or career you have more experience in, and then reallocating that money into your business. And then that way you can actually pay and have people help you kind of start that business in a way can kind of quick start it in a way.
yeah, it's kind of like there's a lot of people now who talk about I'm just too business minded to keep a job. You know, like that's why I keep getting fired. And I'm like, no, that's just being obnoxious. Like there are some people, yes, that were like that before and then they started a business right away. But if you ain't got the business to flip right, you know, in a short time, like there's a certain humility to just working and the hard work that it shows you. Most business owners and stuff worked really hard at some point at some job where they developed their skills. Usually, a lot of them did. Even a lot of the ones that got to a new business right away, you'll notice a lot of them were like past honor students, or they had worked all the time on developing some skill, or they were athletes, or because nobody made it by not working hard. They worked hard at something. So either a job or whatever they love, they just focus on all the time. But this concept of like I'm just gonna get a business and I just like to hustle and stuff. That whole mentality I think is really toxic to our generation because did people get this sort of mindset of you're better than or something. I think some people get when really just hard labor is the key and one of the first steps to independence. If you can't just hold down a job and take care of business, you know what I'm saying, and pay your bills with a 9 to 5 and you can afford it, like how are you supposed to run a business and pay other people's bills because you got employees and now you got, you know what I mean? So I just think there's a certain humility, I'll definitely say. And even I've been having to gain that humility myself and just realizing, it's step by step patience. There's a patience about it too, And I think that was another thing that with finances for me was I rushed it. So by wanting to get into business so much, you'll start to rush and take risks that aren't necessary and not take the steps the way you should. Okay, if I save this much up, I can make this next step. I can't do this next thing, And I think that's another thing that affects money is not being patient too.
Yeah.
Just a little side thought.
Well, no, yeah, and I guess something that came to mind when you mentioned that was that as far as our generation and that toxic mentality, I would agree. I think it is toxic, and I think to some degree the reason people have that mentality, at least nowadays versus in the past, is just because the internet and social media. People see all these people living a certain way, and even these people a lot of times are living and it looks like they're living a certain way, but even that is itself can be so edited and filtered and kind of packaged up in a way where it's like someone can be looking like they're having a great time in their life. Those pictures could be months old. They could be in the middle of a miserable time going through all sorts of uh, I guess emotional issues, or I guess dealing with their own personal issues, but you wouldn't know that based on their Instagram or on their social media. And so yeah, there's kind of this idea that everyone's trying to be happy as the next guy. Everyone's trying to keep up with the Joneses. And so because of that, it's like people naturally think they deserve more or they're better than, because they see so and so and they think that, oh, if so and so can have it, I can have it. But yeah, I think that also it's a matter of perspective, and I think a lot of people, at least for me, it's I don't I don't, at least for me, when I go any job I've ever worked, I've always been one of those people where it kind of reminds me of that saying where it's like, if you're gonna be X, be a good one, or it's like that saying where it's like, if you're gonna be a janitor, be a good one. Not that I've ever been personally a janitor, but like if I was, I would be a good one. And yeah, to me personally, I think that I think it's like when you're serving tables or when you're working in hospitality, when you're working with people in general, when you're working with coworkers, I think that there's always the idea or expectation that you should be a decent person to be around, and I would agree with that. But a lot of times nowadays, people are so in their own bubble, and so
They think because they have a dream and a mindset to be a CEO, that when they're the dishwasher, they should still be treated like a CEO.
yeah. No, when I got out of college,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That's how it is.
Well,
Like,
yeah, it was like, well, when I got out of school, my brother and I were like, kind of like, why don't we have like these high paying jobs yet? And then a friend of ours who had gone to school with us, he's like, what, you guys thought when you got out with like college degrees, you'd just be swatting away 6-figure job offers with a fly swatter? And I was like, well, yeah, I guess.
kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Like, kind of.
He's like, no, it's not like that.
Something
all.
close to it.
Yeah, closer to that
I
than
could
what?
take 75.
Yeah,
You know
closer to what? Closer
Be
to
a
the,
star there.
yeah, closer than just like I guess actual flies.
Yeah, like,
But yeah, whatever the case is, yeah, you live and learn. But yeah, those would be the three big areas for each of us that we're focusing on. And what I was going to say is that we could finish up this podcast with just talking about what we did today. And I guess the format for the episodes that I would see moving forward would be this one was a little different just because we were covering the kind of the uh, cornerstones cornerstones of the Get Right plan. Yeah, that's the cornerstones. We actually met at Cornerstone Apartments. Eli and I were neighbors. A little backstory for another time. But yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, we'll go into that another time. But we got plenty of time to do it. But yeah, I guess what we'll do from what I was telling Eli beforehand, what I think would be a good idea is we'll go ahead and go through what we did today, which would be kind of like the journal aspect. We can just say what we could even use our calendar to just use as like I guess like a roadmap for the day and see if we did well, see if we didn't do well, or just in general, like, do we feel like we had a good day? Do we feel like we could have done more? What do we need to do tomorrow? And then tomorrow is when we can follow up with what we did today, but tomorrow, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, today, I would say, at least for me personally, I think it was a good first day. I think that Eli and I, we were able to get some stuff done. We were able to, go visit some places. Eli's new to the area, so he hasn't seen a bunch of the areas. So we were going and scouting locations, if you will, and which was nice. That was a good time. And tomorrow, I know we're gonna have another busy day, but we'll go through here in a minute and kind of nail down some stuff while we're wrapping up the pod about what we'll do tomorrow. But yeah, Eli, what are your thoughts on day 1 of 60?
um,
Yeah,
I mean, it's oh, okay. Nah, I think it's good. I think we still have a few more things we kind of need to get settled and situated just to get our momentum really flowing and stuff. Um, so in that aspect, I feel like we still have some few more things we need to get handled and settled in to keep our momentum. But I think today was definitely a progressive step. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we got some working out in. I got some reading in. Got to see the city. My first time seeing the city.
Yeah.
We didn't get everything we needed. We still need some more other things.
But I mean,
But
I'd say for the amount of time we have allotted for those, I know we spoke about it earlier, but it's like
yeah,
we could probably knock some of that stuff out. If we did it quick and we just go to one store, boom, boom, and then it's like I'd say we could probably get that stuff done, including the stuff we're gonna do tomorrow, all in one day and be caught up.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. If anything, we know we can get it done. If anything, it just depends on if we can find everything that we need when we get out here. You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But I think overall, I mean, to me, first day, we're kind of getting it. I think we got some pictures done down at the field and stuff. So we got some of that in, got our workouts in. We kind of have a clear idea of how the days are going to be and stuff.
Yeah.
So we got some more stuff that we got to get handled. We'll kind of get more into details.
Yeah, I'd
as
say
as we move along.
If you would say today, and this is just, and just for the people listening, like Eli and I are like doing this honestly as like a social experiment aspect. So it's like if Eli asks me a question or I ask him a question, I'm not ever asking it like in a mean way or derogatory way. I'm just like legitimately asking. But like my question would be is like if you had to rate today like on an A through F level, like a school grade, I can go with my rating first if you want me to go first.
No,
but
I mean,
if you want to go first,
it don't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, I would give myself
C-
like a D out of the overall.
I was gonna say C minus.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
I was gonna give you a C.
Yeah,
I was gonna give us a C because it's like a group. Well, it's a group thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like maybe like a D just out of the whole totality of what we're trying to do. No, I know what, I take that back. It really is a C because we on the podcast right now.
Exactly.
So
That's
really
what I'm
is
saying.
a C. We really are like a C.
We did
maybe
knock
even
out
a
the
C.
workout.
Yeah,
we did knock
So
out the podcast.
I would say it's a solid C. I think, but I think I would give it a C considering for the whole what we plan to have in our routine by the time we're deeper into this. I'd say we got about a C's worth of stuff done. But considering that it's the first day that we really had anything kind of set up, I would give it probably like a B plus or so. Just for when you consider consider it being the first day that we actually tried to that we really are going at it and stuff, and we finally did some, because we did get to go to the school. We may not have got the interviews and stuff, but again, first day,
exactly.
I think that we got some stuff done.
Yeah, and
I would say maybe like a B, but I'd say like a B considering
all things.
Now, if we had done this like 3 weeks down the road, then no, it would.
Yeah, exactly.
We still have a lot of gaps still to fill, just as we're setting things up and stuff.
And I agree, and I think that I guess for me, I would say C minus just because it's and this is like an issue I run into where it's like I can set up a schedule and it's like you'll only hit like 60 to 70% of your schedule where it's like there's going to be stuff that just either you're like, oh, I'll get to that later or whatever. And so it's almost like really making sure the stuff that you put on your schedule, you just stick to because, it's like when you set up the schedule, you have good intentions, but it's like whatever happens in the moment, it's like, it's like bad intentions come over and you all of a sudden start changing your mind. And so, I think that, I mean, a C minus isn't like the end of the world. And I think that if anything, if we, are able to compound the stuff from today that we weren't able to wrap up and move that in tomorrow and then get everything done for tomorrow. And basically if that's an A, I would say that we could adjust both days to just A's.
I don't think we have to get everything done necessarily tomorrow, but if I see us compound today to tomorrow and I see another significant increase in our progress and stuff, then to me notice how I gave a separate grade for it. Like to me, that if we get more done the next day, that's when I say, okay, this is a B or a B plus because we took what we did this first day. We're able to do that and then add it on the next, layer. So if we compound, I think I would say, you go from a C, compounded grades to
it could be a C minus, and if we got some more stuff done tomorrow, it could be a B plus, and then it would average to like a B. But if we did everything done tomorrow, then we could bounce it A. And I think if we could, graduate if we could graduate the get right, if we could graduate the get right magna cum laude, I would like that. I'm trying to graduate top of my class.
Yeah.
I know, Eli and I, we're gonna have a graduation ceremony at the end of 60 days. Yeah, exactly. That's funny. Well, we're just joking about that. We'll have a get right commencement or something. Oh, yeah, the commencement
The
podcast.
commencement's gonna be the
Yeah,
next step.
Eli's giving the
the
speech.
update.
Eli's giving the speech.
The
Well, yeah,
updates.
and so I think that I guess to me and I guess to kind of wrap up from yesterday or today's outcome, I'd say it was good. It was good, and there are things that we did well, but I'd say C minus. If we come back, get the stuff we didn't get done today, tomorrow, and actually get the stuff done tomorrow that we need to set out to do, then I'd say it's an A. But that would be my take on it. But I don't know. What are your thoughts? I guess Eli, as far as
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just said it. It's funny. I just said it right then. Basically, I think as long as we compound it, as long as we made, like, what do they always say? You was just saying it, and we just heard it at the football field when we was down there by the football practice. The
be
coach
1%
said,
better.
Be 1% better each day. I think we did about 15 to 20% today because we're going so far behind where we want to get to. But the point is, as long as we are compounding that and getting it better, I'm more okay with the fact that we're clearly hitting more and stuff each time. So
that's fine. Yeah, and
so I think that's the key. We did more.
And I think that habit is a good one and something that he had mentioned too, the football coach, was it even being, and I don't know, I guess it wasn't him that maybe mentioned it, but it was actually that the author James Clear, which I'm pretty sure that the coach was quoting this book called Atomic Habits, which we just happened to see.
Quoting a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it was like we were just listening to the audio book sample on Audible, and shout out. And when we listened to it, there's the part where he's talking about this percentage where it's like 1% better, and you end up being 37 times better by the end of the year because of that compounding effect. But then also an interesting other way to look at it is you be 1% better in each task you're doing. So if you can just be 1% better in each little small task, then you could be a lot better just even on a day to day. You could be infinitely better, by the end of the year almost, just because, if you're 37 times better by just being 1% better in general, imagine you have 10 tasks a day, you're 1% better in each of those tasks. And then it's like, it gets,
exactly.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like we said, we're compounding. I think that's what it's called, like the compound effect or something like that.
Yeah, like compounding interest, the compound effect would be a better or more apt term.
I think that's it. We gotta make sure you got that one right.
But we either get right, we gotta get that
we
right.
gotta get that term right.
Yeah, get that term right. But and so we'll go ahead and wrap this up. We got a few more minutes here. We're gonna go ahead and go through our schedule tomorrow. We'll go ahead and put it out just so everyone can look forward to seeing what we get done tomorrow ahead of time. But okay, so the first thing what we had was a wake up and exercise. These are going to be 5 to 7 and 7 to 9 a.m. They aren't required, or like, if we ever work or anything where it interferes with these, we're just going to try and keep that time slots where it's like, you still want to dedicate about an hour to working out. You still want to dedicate an hour to the podcast or what that looks like. And then, the activities, which Eli had mentioned earlier, which are just like 3 tasks that we set out to do. And they don't have to be big tasks, but even just doing 3 tasks a day, whether it be,
studying something that you plan to, like an exam or something you want to really learn.
Editing a video, writing a script for tomorrow's thing,
photography.
Anything. So and
reading a book that we were supposed to read,
exactly, like
that you said you would finish.
Reading. There's anything that basically is adding a constructive layer of knowledge to this whole process is beneficial, and thus it's okay to use or to do in an activity. But it's like we're trying to be in a way where even if we have work those days, we still don't want to just not do those 3 tasks, or if we have work, we don't want to not work out, or if we have work, we don't want to not do the podcast. So those are some of those things where we just have to kick into overdrive and be operating on not quite an Elon level, but operating on a higher level for sure.
So so we just have our task. Are you just breaking down the basic?
The day.
Well, you don't have to get the specifics of what we're doing
Well, I want
You
to
want the
just so
certificates tomorrow?
yeah. Well,
'Cause we
I'm
gotta
just
follow up
what.
with the about work and stuff,
Mhm.
and then
Well, 5 to 7 would be wake up and exercise. Wake up would be, meditation, any religious activities,
praying,
whatever. Yeah, praying, whatever you
yeah.
gotta do. Exercise, self-explanatory, and then the first thing we would be starting would be at 9 to 11, which I had that B-roll from going to the Bluffs with Ace from 9 to 11. You
9
could
to
move that.
11.
Yeah,
Okay.
we could do the phone calls from 1 to 3 because that would be the hottest time of the day. So we'll be inside for
Yeah.
those.
Okay.
The
Yeah, that's cool.
follow-ups.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then
We
what
have to get those nailed down.
no, I mean that's fine.
Yeah.
We do have to get those. We
yeah,
do.
we gotta get those motherfuckers.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's very smart. You smart. You is smart. All right. Yeah. Anyways, activity 2 we do. So the second activity of the day, which would be the 1 to 3 p.m. time period, we're going to be contacting companies about getting some work, which would be various roles, but hopefully something maybe in the political sphere, like a paid canvassing job or something, just so we can work in politics and also be, trying to start a business in politics. But yeah, that'd be one thing to consider. But what are you hoping to get for a job?
Yeah, that's one. Um, I
Whatever pays.
I prefer. Yeah, I would say whatever pays. Part of this is part of it with the work right now because it's only going to be a couple months, so it's not like I'm expecting to go and develop a whole new skill in like 2 months at a job. You know what I'm saying? And be like, hey, I mean, I might be able to. There might be a job where I develop a new skill and put it on my resume. That'd be great. But I'm just looking for something that'll pay us well, that can get us good hours, get paid quickly, and preferably something early in the mornings. That way we can have the evenings and the weekends to work on what we want to work on and stuff. So that's the thing. But I'm definitely looking at maybe customer service, maybe something I can work 2 jobs, even if it's a store. Maybe also they have a little bit of AV work out here, and then some work just like like we was talking about pressure washing or cleaning, different stuff like that. Just something that pays good, pays quickly,
And
pays
I'm gonna look up,
weekly.
exactly. And I'm gonna look up on too, like as far as just like web jobs where it's like web development, social media management, stuff like that, where it's stuff I feel like like video editing, video software.
Yeah.
I feel like naturally I can do that okay already. Like I have some experience in it already, but I think that will be if I can't get a job, at least in the canvassing or the political sphere, I'll get something in the technology sphere, which will still correlate to what I'm trying to do because the business I'm trying to start or we're trying to start. At least one aspect of it is in the political / technology sphere.
Yeah, I'll definitely do the political thing too because that works perfectly with our time frame. So that's one.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the filming and stuff. If I could get something like freelancing or doing a temporary gig, that'd be great. But I don't want to take something too deep where I'm like, oh snap, I'm in this job now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I done got promoted. Now I'm stuck.
You're the CEO.
Now I'm stuck in that go. Where the heck am I? Coral Reef? I don't know. I'm in Hillbilly, Florida right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's not quite.
It's not quite hillbilly, but
it's not quite.
It's not what I'm used to.
Exactly. It's not quite. You're not quite in Kansas.
It ain't Kansas, but I mean
you're a long way from Kansas.
I don't know there ain't a whole lot more here than Kansas.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that is one aspect to it. It is a smaller town, but for those that know, the Panhandle of Florida, we're
in the smallest part.
There's definitely a lot smaller in Panhandle of Florida, but we're. I mean, I guess I don't know the geographical layout of what is technically the Panhandle, like what counties comprise it, but yes, we are. The population here is about 5,000 in this city limit. So if there's anything smaller than 5,000, we're not. If there isn't or is, then we are. Yeah, but
y'all, I was born in New York,
exactly,
and
not city.
I was in
upstate.
Atlanta.
You were born in upstate though.
Huh?
You were born in upstate New York.
No, I was born in New York City.
What hospital?
Staten Island.
You really?
Yes, I was born in Staten Island Hospital.
Hell yeah. Now my dad's
then,
from, my dad's born in Queens.
Okay, that's where my dad's from.
Hell yeah.
That's where my dad's from.
That's
But
cool.
nah, just that, and then and I just came. I was in Atlanta and was in school in Orlando. So I mean, I've lived in a lot of towns. As a kid, I lived in some smaller towns for very short amounts of time. Hated them then. Don't like it no better now.
Exactly.
Get me back in Orlando, Miami, Atlanta, anything like that.
Yeah, no, and I'd say, I mean, those are all nice years. Yeah, and what I would say also, that third activity, yeah, what would you say for a third activity, Eli?
I'm thinking that one's gonna be some video or something. Either writing, video, something like that. That's what I'm gonna do for my third activity. I don't know if we're doing one together or not for this one, but I think the time to write and like actually as a matter of fact, or I'll just work on my budget.
All right, yeah, that's fine. I was gonna say, I'm not sure what all we're trying. If anything,
because I was thinking we could come up with the idea to or something to shoot.
No, that's fine. I was gonna say, if anything, I would probably spend like maybe 10 to 15 minutes of that just to like try and spitball some ideas for the podcast tomorrow night. Yeah, because we'll have at least 20 minutes. It'll be like what we did today and what we did today and what we did yesterday and what we have going on tomorrow. Like that'll still cover a third of it. But yeah, I guess the first 2/3 of it, we'll pick a theme or we'll discuss, I guess, something relevant, maybe in the news. Yeah, like whatever's going on.
Something like that.
Yeah, we'll basically just talk about current events or something cool, like whatever's on our mind. And then the last 20 minutes is where we'll recap the day, talk about tomorrow, and open up to you guys, let you guys respond with anything, any feedback. You guys can always respond in the comment sections of whatever platform you're listening to this on. You can always reach out to us on our social medias. You can find me on Instagram at EFly7. You can find Eli.
EYAYACADETEI Cadet.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we're gonna get a Get Right. We'll get a Get Right Instagram set up, and we'll at least be able to post all the podcast episodes or at least the content directly to that, so you guys can stay up to date on it with that as well.
We'll probably post
links.
more like the content, the behind the scenes, some of the thoughts, some of the stuff, that maybe the subjects and things like that.
Yeah, we can do polls. Yeah, and if you guys follow that as well, or just stay with the Instagrams that we had mentioned earlier, but regardless, just stay up.
We'll be coming to you with more info. We're gonna put links in the descriptions and
links in the description. Yeah, we're gonna do polls,
it's the first
whatnot.
episode, baby.
Exactly.
Welcome to it.
Exactly.
We here. Y'all on this journey with us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and what we'll do is we'll keep you guys updated. If you guys ever need anything, you guys can always reach out on those socials. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to us. Eli, any final thoughts before we sign out?
That's it, bro. I'm ready to get out of here. This is Eli.
Heck
I'll
yeah.
see y'all.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, no, it's been a pleasure talking with you all tonight. Eli, it's been a pleasure speaking with you as well. Episode 1 of the Get Right is in the books. This is your boy EFly signing out. Take care.
Deuces.
I hear a little goofy, but that my dog.
Come on, Eli. Day 1, let's get it, cuz. We about to get to the library. We got some serious shit about to go down to Get Right. We gotta tell people how to get right around here, son. We gotta show people, lead the people out right.
Motherfucking right.
All right, tell them what's up.
It's to get motherfucking right. We motherfucking here. It's Eli and EFly, dog. What the fuck y'all even talking about, bro? Look, we finna run this shit. This city too little. That's the thing.
Man, church.
We gotta go to Orlando, but now we gonna bring a whole mob with us. We finna bring a whole squad with us. We finna bring our dogs with us. And when we get to the next motherfucking city and we run your city, what the fuck y'all gonna do? Because we really warned you. Like, we let them know.